I've been a K-pop fan since 2012, and I found myself slowly falling out of K-pop. Last 2 years, I had things pop up in my life that made me unable to keep up with the fast-paced world of idols. The stan culture that so fiercely locked itself around me like a vice for so many years of my youth. The passion that gave birth to my shallow interest in Korean culture and my never-ending love for KRB and UJ Suk is now almost non-existent. I'm caught for the first time in any of my hobbies in a transition period in the genre. I knew the K-pop I knew and the K-pop of now was an evolution. Most of the groups I followed are either non-existent or barely promoting. And with a mixture of get off my lawn old man stubbornness and genuine disinterest, I find there is nothing I can follow with the same vigor as the days of watching Invisible Youth, yearning for interactions between idols, streaming Mama awards at an ungodly hour, knowing there was a hefty science test waiting to beat my ass in the morning, being amazed with the eye makeup and M Black's cry, getting annoyed with the new 12-pack young supergroup getting shared stage time with Shiny, shipping idols for no reason, listening to IU's Bad Day on bad days, streaming Rum Pum Pum on vacation with crappy Wi-Fi, knowing my friends with the cuteness of the GMV, being enamored with the beauty of Winner's Baby Baby, and having to deal with the disappointment of it flopping. My puzzled experience dealing with the weirdness of Orange Caramel, and of course, putting out a bounty on YG's calendar organizer. It was a time in my life I feel a bit I wasted. I didn't do anything other than devote myself to the shrines of my biases, and a few months ago, one of my biases passed on. It was weird because I never knew Sulli personally, but I followed her as closely as I could. In fact, she was one of the few idols I felt to be interesting, genuinely, and not in that half-assed type of way where we ignore how bland most of them are presented to be. But I wouldn't lie, after she left FX, I started to drift away from Sulli. Not that I had a malicious shift in my opinion of her. It was just that she wasn't doing anything interesting to me. I watched her V-Lives from time to time and angrily defended her whenever I noticed unreasonable hate headed her way. But my worship standing days of Sulli had come to an end, and I found myself more tamed and a lot more casually interested in Jinri, the individual. Her newfound freedom to do and say as she pleased was refreshing, and rebelling against the boxing of the idol format was a new wave that I was happy to see in her. But now as I type this, all I can hear is her laughter at Park Myung-so's face on Happy Together, her guessing on M Black's Idol Army, and the shock of seeing her and Patrice Evra in the same screen on Running Man. Eventually I realized, for me, I never grew out of seeing Sully as a giant baby of effects. Less came in my head her recent activities over the years, a clear departure from her idol days. That's when it all clicked for me. That was the problem. That was the seed of the issue of Jinri, and more so K-pop as a whole. And that's image. This four-letter word is so small, yet holds the industry by shackles. This creature dwells through all states of popularity and attacks all. The fans see you one way, and it's very challenging to go against the programming. The cute Maknae, the leader mom, multi-talented underrated member, the cold shy one, the 4D comedian, etc. All roles attach to certain archetypes. Most groups fulfill some, in varying levels, with one absolute rule that connects all: innocence. All idols that, no matter from the bad boy BAP or girl crush 4-minute to the cute egg-filled G-friend, even quirky outside the box groups like FX, are expected to keep appearances, never break the illusion to the hordes of fans. K-pop must maintain its fantasy. Never will an idol make a political statement or anything outside of I love Oppa or Nuna. The best way I could explain that is using an example from the NBA, where superstar LeBron James was once told to shut up and dribble after making some statements on racism in the USA and police shootings of African Americans, as according to the reporter, his only job was to entertain the crowd with his basketball talents, and anything outside of this was out of his reach, efficiently dehumanizing him as nothing more than his occupation. This is similar to the way idols are treated in the industry, micromanaged to the tiniest details, act out of any controversial body language on any public platform, acknowledging any member of the opposite sex who isn't some old variety gag guy, unattained foreign star or a grandma from Busan, and they will get the pitchforks ready and be on the receiving end of a galactic roasting up and down Nate and Navar. If by any chance it happens to be added with a moment of any facial expression that isn't a beaming smile, will set you down the path of a bitch, face, lazy, ungrateful, ice princess. Most commonly faced by female idols such as Crystal, Irene, and more recently Jennie from Blackpink. And even Sulli was a victim of this plotline near the end of her run with FX. This led me to the belief system that Sulli was so venomously shut off, part to due to a fear of the indirect destruction of the idol image that the community holds so dearly, and the ramifications of acknowledging of Sulli would lead to a crack in the system that held K-pop together in such a massive way. An idol of her former stature shooting a film like Real, talking of freeing the nipple, mental illness, sexuality, and feminism in a place that's supposed to cut out all of the quotation marks adult talk. She was entering a territory K-pop fans had been in denial of since the inception of K-pop, and that was the blasphemous idea idols were grown adults and not overgrown children free from all the icky and uncomfortable of the real world. Her boldness and aggressiveness was way too much for the average hater or casual to handle, and this helped frame her slow burning downfall from visual queen to runaway rebel. Sulli was in the entertainment industry for many years, never forming a normal progression of life. Since the age of 14, Sulli has been praised for her beauty, almost unfairly. At that age, she should have been slamming doors in her home, yelling at her parents for not understanding her, watching dramas and having flings with classmates, like a typical teen of her time. Instead, she was on a dangerous stage with even more dangerous critics, being picked apart all the way down to her bones and being placed in a position where your beauty is so prevalent in the way others view you. You can't even be healthy for a growing mind. It can't be healthy for a growing mind still in the process of forming opinions on who she is. It's no coincidence that she at one point was considered one of the most beautiful idols in the industry, and suddenly the script flipping after she started acting out. Her image ruined, tarnished in ways that reminds me of the film Perfect Blue. Sulli looked unique, she had an edge about her. Although she portrayed a typical idol checklist, she had something to her. It's not easy to be placed in a box from such a young age. The entertainment industry is a nasty, dirty reaper, and it haunts all that rebel against the machine in any way. Sulli's life was never hers to begin with. She was a product of a highly manufactured, highly controlled way of music and living. There is nothing organic about any of the process. Idols are shipped straight out of the factories, freshly made and ready to be devoured by fans and haters, often intermixing with each other like a highly bitter avocado kiwi smoothie. It's devastating that what brought me such great enjoyment for years was destroying her and countless others. I'm sorry you had to go through all this, Sulli. And I'm sorry to all idols who have any type of self-image issues, any type of depression or other mental illness, thanks to the toxic formation of the entertainment industry and its followers. The idol world is so bright and cherry, and to a depressed teen looking for an escape, it was just what I wanted it to be. It's really awful, the people on the stage in those selfies, the people who have to hide any blushes in their faces and bruises in their hearts, people who must remain strong no matter what vile attacks they receive. They don't ever feel good enough. Sulli was a dream girl for me during electric shock. Her look still leaves me breathless. It started a lifelong obsession with cute girls with bangs. After her idol days, I admired her attitude, her strength. She was unapologetically herself, and honestly, that was awesome. So enamored by this, I ignored her pain. As a fan, never giving thought to her anguish, and even if I did for a second, and not any longer, I would be distracted by the next update or the one after. I wasn't a healthy fan, but an enabler of a deeply problematic industry. This is no longer fun when you realize the ones who bring you happiness aren't allowed to be happy. When you spend more time in Twitter fan wars than supporting them. When you miss obvious cues of suffering in favor of defending her against hate. When you emptily wish for her to be okay but don't reflect on what it is that's not making her okay. It's not standing anymore. It's blind worship. K-pop lost that fun element long ago for me. Long before Sulli. Long before Big Bang's revelations. Long before Jonghyun. K-pop was just an addiction for me. Following fan sites, favoring all fan-made videos, buying albums, checking charts obsessively, reading netizen buzz, hoping for positive comments. This was not the same as before, when I was happy to intake the content and walk back into my daily life. It had become my daily life. And if my obsession is now taking the lives of the people I followed, is it worth it for me to take part in it with the same passion? I don't think so. This isn't exclusive to the Korean industry. It was just for the purpose of this. I've had to focus on it. Rest in peace, Choi Jinri. I hope you're in a place of warmth and love, the type of love you should have received on Earth. Thank you for the gift of seeing your life. I just wish it had been a happier ending. I asked myself if you should have been a normal person who lived their life. Now you'd be 25, worrying about student debt, working your way up. Would you have been in a happy relationship or traveling the world, sipping some tea by some quiet mom and pop shop in London or swimming in some resort pool in Brazil? If I saw you in class or the streets, would I have seen you with the same look in your eyes? You really touched me without you even knowing me. And for that, I hope your life could make you proud. Not because you're, not because it was so short, but because of that in that short time, some kid all across the world was made to feel a bit less lonely by your presence. All the fans cheered for you. I wish they were louder than the voices yelling hate at you. It must have been painful to be showered with accusation, insults, and slander, having to face them head on with no place to hide. After all, Jinri couldn't go anywhere without the shadow of Sulli right behind her. While haters get to seamlessly transition between the worlds of internet professional verbal boxer and everyday Joe or Jane, celebrities don't get the same advantage. All their self-worth tied to the opinions of others, all their accomplishments depending on others, and even their lives intertwined with their personas. We all know Sulli. Very few know Jinri. Rest in peace, Sulli. Thank you for everything.